Hello everyone. This video is part of a series where we are developing a microservices-based social media application. We are using Node.js for our back-end services and React for our front-end. And our main goal here is to learn the microservices pattern. Here is an overview of what we're currently working on, as well as our plan for the near future. Of course, there is much more than this, but this is just to give some structure. Here is a more detailed breakdown. If you're interested in pausing the video and having a look by yourself, you can go ahead and do so. We also have a Jira Board where we track the progress of our tasks. So you will see me coming and going here quite often as we move through development. In the previous video, we have implemented a couple of tests to ensure that the isVerified flag is always set to false when we create a user, but that it can be changed to true at any point after the user is created. When I was implementing this, I actually noticed that there is a flaw in our design. Not in this functionality specifically, but in the fact that we can change the user email by using this find one and update and bypass the uniqueness verification. So if I come back here to my user.ts file in the user model, we will see that there is a pre-save mongoose hook which validates the uniqueness of an email once we want to create a new user. So if that email is already in the database, this is going to throw an error, this duplicated email error. But this check is not performed on the update functions, which means that I could, for example, come at some point in my application, come here and say user.findOneAndUpdate by the _ID and then set the email to some other email that is already existing, and this would pass. There would be no complaints from Mongoose. Of course, this is not the desired behavior, because if the user is able to change the email for another email that is already registered in the database, then this is going to lead to errors in our application in the future. So let's do something here and let's duplicate this test. Right? So why am I duplicating this? Well, because it's a very similar structure. Right? So here I say should not save a new user if the email is already in the database, and I will say very similar, should not update an existing user. So let's say an existing user's email, here I'll just escape this, if the new email is already in the database. In order to test this, I need to start my jest test watcher. So let's come back to package.json, and I just want to make a small change here. I want to add a new flag which is called --run in band, and this is because I have been experiencing somewhat slower tests, and this is one recommendation that you find quite often online when you look for slow jest tests. So I will add it here to our script. Let's start the test watcher. Everything should be passing, including this test, right? So this was the duplicated test. It's going to be duplicate, which means it should still pass. Now, how do we test this, right? We should first create a new user with user.create. So I will simply leave this file here or this line here, but above I'm going to add another user create. So here I'll call my new user 2. Let's call something like this. And then here, this is going to be our first user, right? So the new user 2, I will create with a different email. I'll create with an email that is going to be test2@test.com. And the password that is going to be valid 123, right? So that our user is valid. Now, regarding these two expects here, I can simply delete them because they are already tested in the previous test. So now we have an error here. We declare the error, but we don't initialize it, which means that its type is undefined if we don't initialize it. And within my try method or my try block, what I want to do is I want to await user.findOne and update. And then here we will implement the same structure from the previous video, where we pass a condition for finding the object, which is going to be by ID in this case. We will pass a new value, or we'll pass an object that says which fields we want to update. So it's a key value object with the field that the fields that we want to update on the left side and the new values on the right side. And in this case, we do not need to return the new instance or the updated object, because we are not interested in storing it in any variable. If we wanted to, we could say let user2, and then afterwards we would say new user2 is equal to await user.findOne, right? If we wanted to do so, but here, for the sake of simplicity, I will just say await new user2, and then here, oh sorry, not await, but const new user2, and then here we don't need to await. Also because in this case, the entity here is not going to be updated, right? But maybe we could even, I'm thinking, okay, maybe we will use this here, updated user. Let's call it like this, updated user2, something like this. And then here we can say new to true, just in case we want to run some tests with the updated user. So I'll just write, I'll just write it like this, and I will say let updated user2, which is going to be of type, I believe, user, right? A user document or undefined. Exactly. So just for the sake of curiosity, we could console.log this updated user2. And now in our case, I just need to, I believe, remove this. And then it's saying that user document or null is not assignable to type user document or undefined, right? So it's saying that the type null is not assignable to the type user document or undefined. So if we want to, we can extend this with null like so, and then this will stop complaining. And it's because user.findOne and update does not return undefined in case we don't find the user. If we don't find the user, it returns null, right? So this test should fail, right? I should not be allowed to update my email to test@test.com. But as you will see, so what I mean by the test should fail, it means that it should throw an error and the test should pass, right? So I should not be enabled to update my email, which means I would expect my error to be defined. But as you can see here, the error is undefined. So the behavior here is actually allowing us to update the email to the duplicated email. How do we fix that? Well, we need to, of course, come back to the user.ts file, to our user model, and we need to add a couple of, or at least one more pre-save or pre-hook from Mongoose. The problem here is that if I try to add a pre-hook to update, for example, I have 4 different functions that mention this update. Update 1, update many, find one and update, and just update. So this is not really convenient that I have to declare a pre-Mongoose hook for each of the individual update methods. And if there is a more general way for us to do that, then this would be much more straightforward. And luckily for us, there is. Let's come here to the definition of the pre-hook in Mongoose. And as you can see, in one of them, we have a couple of methods that we could provide. I think, no, it's a posts. So another one, there are other methods that we can provide, another one, there is another method, then another method, and blah, blah, blah. But here is the interesting part. As you can see, we can pass a regular expression, which means that I can pass a regular expression that is going to match any update that I have, right? So instead of passing a fixed name, I will pass a method, or I will pass a regular expression here, which is going to start with any character, it doesn't matter, and then it needs to match the update substring, and then continue with whatever character. So this is our first trial. I will save this, and I will already tell you that this is not going to work. Exactly, so the tests are still failing, right? Here, just out of curiosity, as you can see, this is our user, right? We wrote down the console.log, and as you can see, the email is updated to the new email, and that's not a good thing. But our tests are still failing. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that we are calling find one and update with an uppercase U letter. So this regular expression is not matching the uppercase U, it's matching only the lowercase u. So if I add a group to my regex expression, which is going to allow either capital letter U, or like uppercase letter U, or lowercase letter u, followed by a update, right? So that would be update both with lowercase letters and uppercase letters, then this should work, right? Well, I will tell you, it's not gonna work just yet. And of course, you may be wondering, why is it not working yet? Well, as it turns out, this is not a save hook. This is not a pre-save hook. This is a pre-update hook. And when we work with update functions in Mongoose, the this of the function is not just the user document. The this of the function is actually a update query object, and this update query object is going to be typed by or typed with our user document. So if I come to the definition of update query, as you can see, it receives a generic value here, d, which is then used to type the document definition. But in addition to this document definition, we have other fields. Let's see here if we can figure out. I am not sure if we can get that much information here. Well, there is a couple, or there are a couple of $sign fields that we could analyze if we want. If we say match fields, yeah, so there are lots of definitions here. If you want to, you can go into more details. But what is important for us here is that the document that is being updated, or the new values, are actually stored in this underscore update key here. Now, by adding this dot underscore update dot email, then this is going to have the value of the new email, not the old email, but the new email. And then we will we'll do a lookup with the value of the new email. And if there is an existing user, then we will just throw a new duplicated email error. Now with these changes, our tests should pass. Exactly, now everything is passing, finally. And as you can see, our console.log is undefined because we throw the error, right? So here, what we could do, for example, is to do an expect updated user2 dot to be undefined. But for our purposes here, I don't think that this will add a lot of value, so we can just remove them, okay? If you want to do an additional check, and after this try catch block here, do a new lookup for the user, for the new user2, and get the updated value, then you also can do a couple of expects there. But for us, this is already enough. I mean, knowing that we are throwing the error is already ensuring that we are not executing the update function any further. So now if I remove the console.log, everything will still be passing. There is just one more thing that I want to do here. As you can see, there is a deprecation warning. So I'll just follow this URL, and here it tells us how to fix that. So in our setup after env file here, I'll just add this line right below our declaration for the Mongo memory server. Once I save this again, then I believe that now we will have no additional errors or warnings for that matter. Exactly. Good. The last thing I would like to do here is to extract this function validate uniqueness to another function, right? So to an external function, and because it's called twice with exactly the same code, right? If it's called twice with exactly the same code, then let's extract this to a common function. Like so. We don't need the next function in this case, and this we can maybe name it a little bit better with user doc. Now here I will pass the user doc instead of passing this, and here I will have again an async function, and that could be pre-validate uniqueness just to prevent any name conflicts here. Here I will receive this, which is a user document and a next function. And then I will simply await validate uniqueness with this. Then I will call next. The calling next here is not strictly necessary. If I remove this, the code will still pass. Okay, we'll see that in a bit. Now here again, I can adjust this name to pre-validate uniqueness. With this, that is the of type update query. And here I can actually remove the next. And then I can also call this await validate uniqueness within this function. But now it's not with this, but it's with this dot underscore update. Like so. So now we can ensure that the same function to validate uniqueness is called in both pre-save hooks or pre-save and pre-update hooks. Give it a couple of seconds and the tests are going to be executed. Exactly, everything is passing. I'll remove the next here. I think that I can also remove the next here. Doesn't add a lot of value. Here as well doesn't add a lot of value. And here as well doesn't add a lot of value. So let's see if everything is working as expected. Let's see if if the behavior is still the same. But as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to call the next function if we are calling it at the end of the function. It could be the case, for example, that let's say if we have something like this, if else, and then I want to immediately call next here after I do this update because I want to stop the further execution of the code, then I could do so. But for our purposes here, we will see how this behaves. I'm not sure whether there are any exceptions. We will see that in the future. We'll see if we come across any problems here. But for now, I think it's just a little bit cleaner and that we don't have to call next at the end of every pre-save or pre-update hook that we are implementing. Great. So this is the change I wanted to do in this video and the additional test I wanted to write. Everything is working as expected. So now I will just run my prettier command. Everything is working, and I will run my lint command to see if there is anything missing that we need to update, but I believe everything is correct. Oops, there are a couple of problems. Yes. This underscore update here is missing in the no underscore dangle file, so I need to come back to my ESLint-rc and add it as an exception here. Underscore update, and the user document within user.test.ts is never used. So let me find the line here. User document is defined but never used in the second, so this one, exactly. Now it should be fine to run our linting, we should have no further problems. Perfect. So now I will add all my changes and I will commit them as being, let's say, feed off, prevent email duplication on user update. And with this, we come to the end of this video. If you want to get notifications or be informed every time I make new videos available, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of ideas coming up, so I think it will be very interesting for you if you are interested in development. And also, if you have any ideas or any topics that you want me to talk about, then make sure to write a little comment. I read all the comments that you post, and I will try to think about a way of explaining some topics you're interested in or some topics you want to have some courses on or some series on. I can try to come up with ideas to discuss these topics if I have already some know-how or if I'm also interested in them. Great. So thank you for your time and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.